Good morning, gentlemen. This video is for those of you who have been in the group and you know objectively that you have more control over your behavior than you did when you joined the program. So your life's a little bit better now in terms of sexual control, but at the same time, you find yourself slowly drifting towards um, behavioral patterns that lead you to relapse. And the further along you are in your reboot, well, the more frustrating this becomes. And interestingly enough, the more challenging it becomes to deal with it. In fact, one could argue that if you are in the late stage or the maintenance stage of your reboot, dealing with a relapse emotionally can feel worse than when you were dealing with it when you're in the early stage of your reboot. At least in the early stage of your reboot, well, you knew you were going to relapse. It's like it was almost expected. But in the later stages, you're not supposed to to slip and to relapse. So it does feel that way. And the reason that I'm shooting this video is because, well, I've noticed that there are some brothers, now that we have more men in the program who are in the later stages of their reboots, who are showing up after a couple of months and saying like, hey, I'm in a relapse, and here are the things that happen. Now, just so y'all know, this has already been addressed in the modules in the back end. There is a module called your second year of rebooting. And in there, I talk about all the different things that could cause you to slip and relapse in the later stages of your reboot. Among those things are chronic stress, relationships, environmental changes. Maybe you move to a different place. Maybe you switch out your job and you're doing something different. All of these things can lead to a situation that causes a slip or a relapse. And just to make it clear, it's not really that it causes a slip or relapse. You make a choice to slip or relapse. So I'm going to be addressing what you can do in the later stages to ensure that this doesn't happen. And since the theme of this year, 2025, is getting to the late or maintenance stage or clearly defining your reboots, the focus of this is going to be on your identity. Habits, lifestyle, self-image, or identity, that is absolutely critical. And we'll talk about that. But before we get into that, I actually want to take a moment to address the definition of your reboot. And, the definition of a relapse. Say definition of your reboot so often. So a relapse is not a return to your previous behavior. Now, obviously, it feels like a return, especially when it's been months or weeks since you slipped or relapsed. It's very visceral, right? Especially when you find out that you notice that, man, the type of pornography I'm watching, it's the same. It's the exact same genre. It feels as if nothing has changed. Again, that's just a feeling. Maybe the symptoms that you experience after a relapse, the brain fog, that low-level depression, the irritation that comes up, you just feel a little bit discombobulated for the next couple of days. That seems very familiar. And you might feel as if nothing has changed. And of course, there's the hit that your ego takes, that, man, I just can't believe that after all this time, the person I'm supposed to be is not acting that way. And that does not feel good. So the definition of a relapse is, instead of it being a return to that behavior, it is actually a planned and repeated violation of a self-imposed rule or set of rules that is designed to regulate the rate or pattern of your unwanted sexual behavior. And that's important to remember. Now, if it is planned and repeated, why is it that you would consciously choose to slip or relapse later on in your reboots? Well, it comes down to your identity. And for the purpose of this, I will bring up two things when it comes to the identity you're building in the latest stages of your reboots. The first thing is, well, there are two things. One is ownership and one is victimhood. This is important because you're either having a victim frame or you're having an owner frame when it comes to your identity. An owner frame means that you create your reality. You are not at effect to things that are happening to you. So whenever there's a situation, a negative situation that comes up, a challenging situation, whatever you want to call it, you're like, I have full control over this. I can control this situation. When it comes to your dreams, you're the type of person, when you're operating from an ownership frame, you take your dreams and you make your dreams projects. You don't sit there and wish your dreams will come through. You don't try to manifest your dreams. You take a dream and you quickly make it a project. You're like, okay, these are the steps you're going to take to make this a reality. And people who have an ownership frame, if they look at a dream and they figure that there is no way to make that dream an immediate project, you're going to drop it. You will immediately drop it. You do not keep dreams and nurture those dreams without creating a project. And I just want to remind you, if you're a guy who has these dreams that you haven't made into projects, let me just tell you that over time, that is going to erode your self-confidence. Dreams that don't become projects become things that sit there and get rotten. They fester and they tear down your internal identity. So always change your dreams into projects. Another characteristic of people who have an ownership frame is that you're quickly deciding whether something has a problem, has a solution, or whether it is not a problem at all. Quick example is I run a couple of companies. And one of the ways I'm able to do this is I'm really good at delegating things to other people. So I'm partnered in other companies, but I'll delegate. I will delegate the CEO role of my company to somebody else. But in order to do that, you have to be really good at teaching people the right internal frames to come from. That's what I'm good at. So for instance, we might be at a board meeting or a company meeting, and we'll have a conversation. The team will bring up something that's a problem, okay, on the agenda. And I'm laughing because this happens so often. And they can't find a solution. And inevitably, somebody will say like, man, there's no solution to this. I don't think there's a solution. They'll say it in one way or the other, not literally. And then I will challenge them and say, well, perhaps there's no problem. And they're like, well, no, like it's on the agenda. Obviously, there is a problem. And I'm like, well, there can't be a problem, or there can't be a solution if there isn't a problem, right? Or there can't be a. My brain is not working right now. There can't be a problem without a solution. Perhaps there is no problem at all. And they'll go like, well, then what do you mean? I was like, perhaps it's a fact of life. So if you're trying to find a solution to something and you cannot find the solution, that means that there's a possibility that there is no problem at all, that there is just a fact of life that you are unwilling to accept. And this is an important skill to develop. But you can only develop this skill when you come from an internal stance of ownership. Because you own every situation that you're in, you're quick to identify the things that you have no control over, right? You're quick to become outcome independent and identify things which are in your zone of control, zone of concern, and so on. So again, very important aspect of your identity is ownership. Now, victimhood, on the other hand, that victim frame is very dangerous. Many of you in this program who are watching this video, you don't really come from a place of victimhood because it's almost impossible to be a part of this program if you come from a victim frame. What does that mean? It means that people who come from a victim frame cannot commit to things. Now, you commit and you say the word commitment all the time, but when push comes to shove, you will never pull the trigger because you don't believe you can commit. So for instance, when somebody speaks to one of our Reboot strategists, and they're like, oh yeah, I really want to be a part of the program. I've been following JK for years and so on. When it comes time to make the decision, they won't make the decision, not because they can't afford the program, but because they don't want to commit. And they don't want to commit because they don't really believe in commitments. For them, commitments are things that are broken. And it is not a conscious belief. It is something that comes from their self-identity because over and over again, they've told themselves that they're going to do something and that they don't do it. So they don't really, on a deep level, believe in commitments. Now, you also have a part of you, a part of your identity has that victim frame. And as you go through the program, you stop feeding it. So you choke it off and it's starving. And so you're good. Like you're like, yeah, I'm not slipping, I'm not relapsing, I'm starving that victim identity, I'm winning, I'm writing down my wins, I'm doing the right things. Now, as you develop other areas of your reboot capital, guess what happens? In some areas of your reboot capital, you start feeding and nurturing that victim frame. So you might start dealing with chronic stress in career or in your business, at work. You might have relationship issues that you feel you have no control over, and slowly you start feeling like a victim. I can't get out of this relationship. It's very difficult to work with this person and the relationship. Maybe you start dealing with health issues. You guys have seen all these things happen in the program with your accountability partners and other brothers. You're dealing with a health issue, a financial issue, a relationship issue. And over time, you start feeding that victim. And what happens? Once it is strong enough, it will lead to a series of slips and then enter into a relapse. You will then become the type of person, yet again, who plans their slip, who plans their relapse, who plans to violate the boundaries that they have set and the agreements that they have made with themselves. Only the victim frame does that. But I want you to understand that that is not a permanent thing. Having the awareness to realize that you have nurtured that victim frame is one of the best things you can do. All right. So that is one of the main reasons why you are in the later stage of your reboot and you find yourself moving towards a slip or in a relapse. And what I'd like you to do is take a moment in the comment section. If this resonates with you, if it doesn't, ask a question and I'll be happy to clarify. But take a moment to think about it and then drop in the comment section where in your reboot capital, where in your life you feel that you have actually given in to that victim frame. Okay. I'm very curious to actually hear where you've done that. Okay. So hope you found that helpful. I'm going to shower. It's been a great day. I'll share a view with you guys. Nice view this morning from Bangkok. Have a great day. Bye.